Last week, I did a video looking at the tactics of the game between Real Madrid and Man City in the first leg of the Champions League quarter-finals, and I explained why I thought Kyle Walker would be essential to help Man City get through to the semi-finals. Yet today, I am now going to be explaining to you why I think Kyle Walker was the reason that Man City had been knocked out of the Champions League instead, in what was quite a poor night for English football, I'm not going to lie. And when I'm filming this as well, we now know that the other English teams got knocked out as well. So Aston Villa, you are our only hope. That's quite incredible. Arsenal, Liverpool, West Ham, and obviously Man City have all been knocked out. I thought Liverpool were the ones that could have had a chance to do it. I always had a feeling that Arsenal wouldn't. But if you want to see what I predicted, I got 3 out of the 4 games right. Go check out my Champions League predictions video. But I'm going to look at how Ancelotti, despite having a very passive team today, managed to get the win. And granted, there was a bit of help from penalties, but let's have a look. So, as expected, this is kind of what the lineups look like. Real Madrid played this 4-3-3, just they put Nacho in instead of Tchouaméni from the last leg because he got suspended. And Man City, well, I've actually got them lined up in a 4-1-4-1 here. It wasn't really that. It was more of this 3-box-3 that we see. And it's called a 3-box-3 for anyone wondering, because you've got the 3 centre-backs here, and then you get this box in the midfield. So the midfield is called a box, and then Grealish and Haaland are the and Foden are the front 3. So that's why it's a 3-box-3. And we see Man City play this all the time, and it's either Stones or Akanji normally that push into the midfield. Real Madrid defended in what was, I want to say, a 4-4-2, and they did that in the first game as well, but it was more of an aggressive 4-4-2. You could almost argue actually it was a 4-2-4. Valverde pushed really high up, and Rodrigo also pushed high up. And Vinicius and Bellingham, when playing out from the back, this is, Man City would try and find the midfield because they always had the spare man there. But Vinicius and Bellingham were the 2 tasked with covering Akanji and Rodri to try and prevent them easy balls into the midfield for Man City, which they are so good at. And it was somewhat effective. They did a good job. But what I found really interesting was how Ancelotti deployed Toni Kroos. And that was because he was pretty much tasked with man-masking Kevin De Bruyne. Wherever De Bruyne went, Kroos would follow, and sometimes Foden would push forward in between the gap between Nacho and Mendy, and so De Bruyne would then drift out wide, and Kroos would follow him. Or similarly, if Foden didn't make that run, it was De Bruyne that would try and make it. Kroos would still follow him. We saw him in the first leg drop into a centre-back position to try and cover, or form a back 5 almost for Man City, for Real Madrid. And he did the same today, but it then meant that Akanji was the one that would push really far up. And Rodri would then go a bit more central, but no one tracked Akanji. It's too far deep for Vinicius to track back, because then you lose a lot of attacking. You lose someone if you win the ball back and you want to counter. Vinicius is someone that you want to have on the counter, and you could have seen Camavinga come across and Valverde drop deep, but it just left so much space for Gvardiol to attack. So anyway, yes, when Akanji pushed forward, he was often a spare man, and it allowed him to get on the ball quite a lot. And I think Man City were trying to feed the ball to him because he was always free, and Real Madrid were kind of willing to let him have the ball. Because if you look at Rodri, Silva and De Bruyne, out of them 3, plus Akanji, they're the 3 that you don't want to have on the ball. Akanji is probably the least threatening on the ball. So pretty much Akanji attacking. But as good as Man City were, they did control the game as well. Real Madrid struck first. So the Real Madrid goal then came from something that looked a little bit like this. There was a turnover of possession, which Real Madrid then got the ball. And in the press, Man City would look to do something like what I've got set up here. It was somewhat a man mark of the attack. Haaland was kind of covering both Nacho and Rudiger. I'd say he was more on Nacho though, and that meant that Grealish was the one that would then not fully press Rudiger, but he would kind of drift in between Carvajal and Rudiger to try and cover both passes. So whoever got the ball, he could immediately sprint to. But that meant with him in this position, Gvardiol, who is a left centre-back in this formation, remember, was then the one pushing higher up almost to prevent Carvajal from having a load of space to run into if Grealish was beaten. And whilst this was a great idea, it meant that Man City were incredibly out of shape. So when the ball came, it did end up at Carvajal. When he played a brilliant ball in towards Bellingham, it was Rodri that then had to drop deep to almost make a makeshift back four. And in this kind of position, I think it was actually Vinicius that it was Valverde initially that made this kind of run, but Diaz drifted centrally a little bit more than I think you would like him to. He didn't hold that left back position that they needed, which Gvardiol was out of position from. He went a bit more centrally, and it opened up, as you can see, all this space here for Valverde and then Vinicius to attack. And the cross came in, and Rodrigo at the back post, on a second try at least, gets his goal. Maybe it was against the runner play, I would argue. I don't necessarily think Real Madrid were on top at this point of the game, but I want to tell you why Kyle Walker is at fault for this goal. And I've seen a few people scrutinise him online, and I think rightly so. He is an England international, one of the quickest players probably in football. He doesn't need to have the extra couple yards on players, especially Rodrigo's quick, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that Kyle Walker couldn't catch up to Rodrigo. And as you can see in this screenshot here, Kyle Walker is the player playing him onside. If he holds his line a little bit better, I mean, he's looking across the line, he's the fullback, so he should be able to tell that he's playing people onside. He just needs to hold up with the likes of Rodri, Diaz, whoever else is back, and that goal's disallowed. And Man City still have an advantage in this game. And I just think Kyle Walker should be doing better than that. Now, I know he has been tasked with kind of covering the runs of Vinicius or Rodrigo or even Bellingham if he makes them. But as I said, he doesn't need to take them extra couple yards advantage. He's someone that he could have played this line and probably still beaten Rodrigo to the ball if he's quick. Pretty much my point is he's quick and he doesn't have to be in this position. Regardless of that, Real Madrid now 1-0 up, and they forced Man City to play so wide. They made sure that Man City didn't get the ball centrally in that zone 14 area that is so vital for where a lot of Man City's goal come from. If they're not attacking the byline, a lot of their goals come from that sort of area. And Real Madrid forced Man City wide. So wide, in fact, that Man City attempted 46 crosses, which is an insane number. From open play, 46 crosses is an insane amount of crosses to be putting in over the course of a match. And yet none of them really worked, except for one, obviously. Now, I'm going to show you at the moment, this is the average positions for Manchester City, and as you can see on this right hand side, the four of Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland, Bernardo Silva and Foden were so close together, and we saw so many rotations going on that right hand side. Rotations are essential in Pep Guardiola's Man City, and we saw so many rotations going on over on that right hand side. A lot of the Real Madrid midfield and defence were kind of tilted towards defending that side of the pitch. And it left Grealish and Carvajal almost isolated at that right back position or left wing position, depending on what perspective you look at it. But and we know Grealish is really good at take-ons, winning fouls, and Carvajal's not exactly fast. So I think that's why Pep wanted that side isolated. Yes, I think Grealish did all right. I think he had a better game this game than he did in the first leg, but it was so much better when Jeremy Doku came on. We know he's so quick. He's a one-on-one specialist, and his take-ons were much better than what we saw from Grealish. But we ended up in one position, which is where the Man City goal comes from, which is where, and I'll put the screenshots up now, Valverde is the one that's actually dropped to the right back position as Carvajal has moved to more of a centre back, a centre back role. And so, whilst that's fine, nothing wrong with that, it then meant, I think in this situation, Valverde would be the one to mark Kevin De Bruyne, who's playing almost as that left number 10. And in the box, you can see Camavinga and Bellingham are unsure who's picking De Bruyne up. Cross comes in from Jeremy Doku, who does really well actually on that left-hand side to create some an attacking opportunity, as he did so often throughout this game as well. Puts the ball in. It's a bit scrappy, but falls to Kevin De Bruyne in that position. He's going to score. And they had something very similar about the 80th minute, I think. But De Bruyne ended up blasting the ball over the net, which is incredibly unlike him, especially in them situations. But I thought that was a good bit of tactics from Pep to kind of isolate that left-hand side. And Jeremy Doku was much better suited to that role than Jack Grealish was on the night, I think. And I think for the most part, Man City were the better team. I think everyone would agree that arguably Man City should have won, but Real Madrid always find a way. It is their competition. It's the Champions League. It's Real Madrid. That's it. That's all you need. Real Madrid, Champions League. They just go hand in hand, don't they? And we ended up then going to penalties. And the crucial thing that I think people need to understand is shooting down the middle and missing should not be scrutinised as much as it was. And I'm talking about Bernardo Silva here. I've seen a lot of people criticise him. He shot down the middle. Lunin just stood there and pretty much caught it. It was, when you look at it like that, it's embarrassing. But I don't think that Silva deserves a lot of the criticism that I'm seeing him get online. And that's because, and I want to take you back to Emi Martinez. I don't know if it was at the World Cup, but we know how good of a penalty saver he is. He's almost a bit of a penalty specialist. And he pretty much explained to his team that if a penalty is saved, the best bet after that is to then shoot down the middle. So say Martinez saved a penalty, Argentina should then shoot down the middle. And in this situation, was it Modric that had just missed the penalty? Modric misses, and so Bernardo Silva should shoot down the middle. And I think that's because the goalkeeper always feels more pressure when the penalty's just been saved before them, that they then have to dive to try and almost account for the save that's just been made. It's on them to then make a save to level it out again. And so they almost feel like this pressure to dive one way or another. Chances are they're not going to hold their ground. But Lunin did really well. And I'm interested to know if Kepa said something in this moment here. If Kepa said something to Lunin about staying down the middle. Because I've seen Kepa a couple times make saves where he doesn't move. And it's worked. And we're seeing down the middle penalties becoming much more common these days. Goalkeepers are almost forced to dive one way or another. And so by standing still, the thing is, it's a bit of a catch-22. If Bernardo Silva places that ball left or right and Lunin stays down the middle, Lunin is going to get criticised for not diving. I think staying down the middle is perfectly a good enough thing for a goalkeeper to do. Because penalties do get shot down the middle. But also for Silva, shooting down the middle is not bizarre either. And he's just unlucky that Lunin stood there. I don't know how to explain it. Personally, I think that Lunin did well to stand his ground and not feel pressured to dive. But I don't think it's Silva's fault that he decided to put his penalty down the middle and it was saved. It wasn't a bad penalty. If the goalkeeper dives, we wouldn't even be talking about it. It's just unfortunate that it led to Man City losing. As I said, Madrid find a way. Carlo Ancelotti finds a way, and he did so again on the night. They won 4-3 on penalties, was it? And they go into the semi-finals. Man City are knocked out. But on another night, this was Man City's game. It was theirs to win. So I think to say that Man City like the penalties were bad, I don't agree with. But regardless, I don't. People are going to talk, aren't they? So Doesn't matter. Just I wanted to at least say what I think on why Bernardo Silva does not deserve this. I mean, he's a brilliant footballer. He missed one penalty, and I don't even think it was a bad penalty. So, definitely not Raheem Sterling. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Let me know, who do you think is going to win the next round of the Champions League? I might do a predictions video on it again, an updated one, although most of mine are similar. I just predicted Atletico to win instead of Dortmund. But Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich, going to be a good game. Who's going to win that? I pretty much almost 99% sure it is Real Madrid. But regardless, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a like and subscribe. I cannot thank you all enough for the support I've been getting on videos recently. It's absolutely incredible, considering I've only ever uploaded like 10 videos on this channel. The fact that it got 9,000 views, that's insane. I cannot thank you guys enough. But I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys very soon with a brand new video. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching.